The media malfeasance here, of course, has been absolutely egregious. Now, are the media admitting to their malfeasance? Of course they are not. How many articles since May 2017 have been published about Russia and Trump/Mueller? Since May 2017, this is according to Axios, 533,000 web articles have been published about Trump and Russia, generating 245 million interactions. So the media did all of the election interference that the Russians didn't do in 2016, apparently, is all according to Newswhip. And on the networks alone gave 2,284 minutes to the Russia probe, according to Newsbusters. And that's just the networks, right? Those are the people who have like an hour a night to give you the network news. If you go to cable, then you are talking presumably in the tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of minutes, because that's been basically CNN's main programming for the last couple of years. And it's not just that they have been programming this stuff up the wazoo. It's also that they have been breaking false bombshells for legitimately years on end. The Daily Caller has a really good piece about this by Amber Athey, their White House correspondent, pointing out all of the ways in which the media botched this story. You'll recall that CNN accused Don Jr. of WikiLeaks collusion. She writes, last December, CNN's Manu Raju reported that WikiLeaks emailed Donald Trump Jr. to give him access to stolen documents a full 10 days before they were released to the public. And then it turns out their sources gave them the wrong date. Don Jr. received an email with access to the stolen documents after they'd been released publicly. Remember that ABC tanked the stock market with fake Mike Flynn news. ABC was forced to suspend Brian Ross after he falsely reported that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was prepared to testify that then-candidate Donald Trump ordered him to make contact with the Russians. The stock market dropped a few hundred points at the news, but the news turned out to be fake. Now, here's the thing. You could say this is all just the media getting it wrong. Listen, over at Daily Wire, we've had to retract headlines before. We've gotten stories wrong. We publish legitimately 50 to 70 stories a day, and you do that over the course of several years, and you're talking about thousands and thousands of stories. The question is, in what direction do all the mistakes get made? So at our site, we're a conservative site. We openly acknowledge we're a conservative site. CNN, ABC, these are outlets that pretend to be objective. And yet, oddly, every error they ever make cuts in one direction and one direction only. How strange. You remember that CNN reported that the Mooch was under investigation. And the Mooch got an apology from CNN because the Mooch was not under investigation. First of all, the Mooch was in the administration for a grand total of 32 seconds. I'm not sure what he would have done in those 32 seconds to earn an investigation other than being the greatest guest star in the history of Trump, the television show. Bloomberg suggested that Deutsche Bank was being zeroed in on by Robert Mueller. Jeff Sessions, it was reported, had botched protocol. CNN said that he had botched protocol when he didn't list meetings he had with the Russian ambassador on security clearance forms. But Sessions met with them when he was in the Senate. I mean, story after story after story. And yet, do the media feel really contrite today? Of course they don't. I mean, people won Pulitzer Prizes for this stuff, guys. People in the media won Pulitzer Prizes. The Washington Post and the New York Times won the 2018 Pulitzer Prize for their national reporting of President Trump's alleged collusion with Russia. They received the award, this is town hall reporting, for, quote, deeply sourced, relentlessly reported coverage in the public interest that dramatically furthered the nation's understanding of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and its connections to the Trump campaign, the president-elect's transition team, and his eventual administration. Deeply sourced? Well, not so much, because it turns out that half their stories were sourced incorrectly. There was an article, for example, they published on Jared Kushner. The report talked about Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, and Paul Manafort, meeting with a lawyer connected to the Kremlin. In reality, they met with Natalia Veselnitskaya, who was with Fusion GPS, the group behind the fake dossier. The Washington Post did the same thing. You'll remember it was the Washington Post reporting that Jeff Sessions had met with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, proving that collusion was on the menu. It turns out that Sessions met with Kislyak because he sat on the Senate Armed Services Committee. And the media's malfeasance can be summed up in this one clip from Chris Matthews over at Harbaugh. As I say, remember, Chris Matthews coming with a show, rolling in here. In the middle of the Mueller investigation, Chris Matthews comes with a show, rolls on in there. And he says, you know what? I like to think of an aquatic metaphor. I said at the aquarium the other day with my wife Kathleen. We were at the aquarium, and I'd had too much to drink as per my usual arrangement. And I started thinking, there's a starfish, there's a clam. It's like Mueller and Trump. Go.
Watching Mueller and Trump go at it, I'm reminded of biology lab back in my sophomore year at LaSalle College High School. Remember the starfish and the clam? I know we dissected one or the other, definitely the starfish. Mueller reminds me of the starfish, which gets itself tight on the clam and uses all its stuff to weaken and pry open the clam. Now, this is a battle to the death as far as the clam is concerned. If the starfish is able to open him even a little bit, he can get him open all the way, and that's it, of course, for the clam. He's the starfish's lunch.
The starfish and the clam. This is how the media relentlessly reported, with deeply sourced reporting on Trump and Russia and Mueller. Starfish and the clam, guys. It's like high school biology class. I failed, by the way. It's sad.